Andrew, I want to say welcome to this online version for Richmond Lodge, and we're looking forward to your presentation tonight. So the ball's in your court.
Thank you, everybody. Welcome. I know it's weird times at the moment, but like Steve,
sorry, Ange, sorry, Ange, can I just say one thing before you go on, brethren? Can you please mute yourselves just so that we have the auditory is very clear from Ange. Thank you.
Yeah, I hope you don't mind, but just like Don and Steve in front of me, I thought I'd dress for the occasion.
Not at all.
One of the posts I put on Facebook the other day was, when was the last time you wore a bow tie? And one brother actually rang me up to say his wife read it. That night he had to dress in tails, because he's a grand officer, for dinner. She wore a tracksuit. Anyway, look, even now during this pandemic thing, whatever we want to call it, I'm busy. I get emails, I get phone calls from brethren saying, I don't know what the landmarks are. Can you send them to me? I want to do some reading. I want to do some research. I'm home, I'm bored. What can I study? And I've got a vast collection of Masonic talks, lectures, but also books that I can email out to people, depending on your bandwidth, that sort of thing. I've got lots of books. For example, most of the, and I can never pronounce this, Sequato Quaran Narums. I've got most of those, which took me a long time to download, but I've got almost 90-something% of all the ones ever produced. But quite often I even get involved in discussions. I get involved in disagreements. I don't always know the answers, I admit that, but I'm happy to do the research. I'm happy to try to find the information. I had a lady today call me because she was referred by the Grand Secretary. She's got some of her late father's regalia. So asked me what to do with them. We conversed via Skype, showed me what the quality was. The aprons were basically, forget it. But he had some jewels. For example, he was also a member of the Mark. And I said, well, they're in good enough condition, if you don't mind. You know, you can send them to us, care of the Grand Library, and then we can pass them on to one of the Marks to hand over to a new brother when he does the 4th degree, that sort of thing. It's always different. It's always busy. Sometimes I get messages from the Grand Secretary, even during now, I'm saying. Most of the time, it's just individual brethren ringing me, emailing me, texting me, Facebooking, whatever. But on top of that, some of you would have noticed, hopefully all of you, that I post a lot of things on Facebook. Freemasons Victoria, Freemasons of Victoria. Talks from the past, short, small books, rather than putting on a whole encyclopedia by Mackie. Discussions about certain controversial topics, how to wear a bow tie, how to wear your shirt, how to iron your trousers as part of our presentation, all sorts of different topics. And having said that, if there's ever a topic you'd like me to post on, please let me know. And if I haven't got it, I'll find it somewhere. And that should be enough to put you to sleep. Thank you.
Ange, thank you very much for that. And it certainly was enlightening. The terminology that you struggle to pronounce, I'm not going to ask you to do it again, but what is it all about?
These are the annual, or for example, I'm a member of the Victorian Lodge of Research. This is, if you like, the original English Lodge of Research. And every year since the 1890s, from memory, 1895, they've been producing an annual book of talks, discussions, treatises on different things. Quite a number of them which are still incredibly relevant today. Quite a few that once you start reading them, you're trapped because you just cannot stop. You have to read the whole section, the whole research item, because it's just so fascinating.
Ange, can I ask, what's the is there one thing that stands out as the thing most commonly requested?
I would argue for the younger Freemasons, it's trying to find more about the mysticism and about symbolism. The younger guys tend to be more into those areas, which is why in the new library, in the new building, because it's not enough room there to put everything from the Grand Library, I have placed all those books as part of the collection. So anyone going to the new setup in East Melbourne will find those books as one of the key areas, so that, I mean, not just the younger Freemasons, but anybody can come along and enhance their knowledge.
Okay, interesting. So what would be the rarest thing that you would say you've got there that you'd know? So this is
We have a
rare.
Bible, a 500-year-old Bible, where, for example, if you look at the THE, the T takes up the full length of the page, and the THE have all been hand painted. Every page is so delicate. One day the Grand Master at the time, Don Reynolds, came in, and I said, "Sorry, sir, you didn't give me a warning you were going to come. You can't touch it." Simple as that. Some things are too delicate, and we need time to make sure that the room temperature is right before we bring them out, and make sure we've got the cotton gloves on, because something like that, there's only one of that we've got, and we'll never get another copy.
Yeah.
But we've got quite a few books from the 1700s. We've got Masonic magazines from the mid-1800s from Victoria, plus the books from the Grand Lodge of Victoria and others, which were written and signed by brethren during the Gold Rush. So you see the Gold Rush names all up and down, and the Chinese, the Jewish, the German, the French, the English, the Scottish, the Welsh. Very multicultural back from those days within Freemasonry.
Ange, do you guys hold tours, or can we actually visit the library as a lodge?
Right now, of course, the answer is no.
Yep, fair enough.
But in the new setup, where we're located, first floor, as soon as you get out of the lift, bang, you're there. At all times, though, even with the old library, more than happy, and I've had some lodges come in. I've had individuals come in from here, from interstate, from overseas. If I'm there, it's open, simple as that. And with the new setup, depending on what happens, I still don't know, my preference would be to try to open every night when a lodge is either rehearsing or meeting, so that when you come along, you can at least spend a half an hour or so in the library, looking at the books, checking out the heritage that we've got, the artifacts, etc., and therefore appreciate what the Grand Library Museum mean for you.
I agree. I think, Matt, please make a note that we should arrange that as one of our activities. I'd love to bring along some of our newer members that don't quite understand, the extent of Freemasonry, and I think this will be a great experience for them.
Agree. Yeah.
Yeah. No, always happy to have anybody visit anytime. But having said that, I've had brethren who live in country Victoria who can't come in at all. So, for instance, if they email me or whatever, I can send them a book electronically. But I've even Skyped with quite a few. So there's always access in one form or another.
So, Ange, what's the process if I come in and I wanted to borrow a hard copy book?
Okay, have you got your Freemasons Victoria membership card?
Yes.
Bingo, that's all you need. Once upon a time, you had to pay a certain amount of money for a lifetime membership. With respect to the Grand Librarians of the past, I got rid of all that. If you're a Freemason, you're entitled to access the Grand Library. So you bring along the card, I scan the card, I scan the code in the book, and it's yours. And I'm not going to be petty and say 2 weeks, 3 weeks. So long as we don't have 100 brethren all wanting the same item, you can have it for 3 months.
And we can do all this free of charge.
Yep.
How do we pay
Grand Lodge is
them?
not interested in ripping you off every day of the week.
But how do we pay this mammoth salary that we need, obviously, to pay to the Grand Librarian for all this work?
Well, okay, first up, I'm not the Grand Librarian.
Oh, our librarian.
Lodge Librarian. Second, my pay is that digit before 1. That's how much I get.
Well, look, it's not enough. We should double it, triple it.
Oh, happy to see it tripled. But no, look, I do this because I love doing it. I do it because I want to help. And without acting smart, what I said before about staying open late, I used to do that when we were at East Melbourne. And I had brethren who would come in and say, you know, I've been a Freemason for 30 years. I've never once found the library open, because it would always open and close in the mornings. Tasmania, for example, it opens for 2 hours only on a Wednesday morning. Queensland, it opens from memory 2 days a week for 4 hours each time. Ours is open Monday to Friday. And on rare occasions, if you can't make it during the week, I've done this at Mowbray Street, the old place. I've opened up on a Saturday or a Sunday. It doesn't bother me. And if you want to pay a fee, a cup of coffee will be nice.
So, I mean, obviously, you know, this library doesn't run on nothing. So how do we fund the upkeep and the acquisition or whatever that it needs?
Okay, we haven't bought many new books in the last few years. Very, very few. But everything has in the past been funded by Grand Lodge. In terms of artifacts, every one of them is donated. Simple as that. So the library and museum are very, very low cost to the organisation. You know, I bring my own lunch. You know, see $1 tuna on special at Safeway, I go buy it. I bring my own coffee, etc. Doesn't cost them a cent.
So if I was to be looking for something, Ange, is there a catalogue of what we have?
Okay, now that's the hard part. I am reorganising the catalogue now while I'm home, because I do have a copy of all the electronic books with me. When I first started preparing this thing, there were accidents, whatever they were, from other people, and I lost the collections more than once. So I keep a copy at home, and I'm currently reorganising the entire catalogue. So then I can hopefully put it up on the web page, and you can go and have a look, see what it is. That's the book I'd like to borrow. Check if it's an electronic book, in which case then you can download it yourself, or I email it to you. But if it's a hard copy,
some of the newer members I know do not have one of those membership cards. Is there another way that they could access or borrow from the library?
Well, technically, and no disrespect, but the secretary's job is to make sure everybody has a card, which isn't always easy because the office has to actually come through with it. But it just means politely harassing head office and saying, we've got a new member of the craft. He wants to use the library to improve his Masonic knowledge, but he needs the card to borrow. But look, I've loaned a couple of books out more than once without worrying about that. If I know they're a Freemason, I'm not going to stress over it.